Hey guys, just a really quick video to come at you. I'm doing my research right now for our sleepers video, and so I thought I'd do another quick video, almost like a prequel, about how I look for sleepers. Just give you a few tips I found over time that could help you out. I know you might like the videos better where I just give you names, but if you want to also see how I research to get those names, just hang out. Let me know if you like these types of videos. It's the kind of could be, these types of things could be valuable to you year after year as opposed to just this year. So let's get into it. I have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish things that I wrote down here that I typically keep an eye on and look at sleepers. Not a complete list, but you can let me know if you have other methods you use, that sort of thing. But let me get right into it. And now, I typically start with a top pick that I feel is being overlooked. This could be towards the beginning of the draft type of guy, but somebody that everyone else is kind of like letting fall out of the top 5 or top 10, whatever it may be, and I think this guy could play like a number 1 or top 5 type pick. I've got a couple names here. Look for our sleeper videos in relation to that. And those might not seem like sleepers to you because they're going so high in the draft, but they are, as far as like if you get, say, like in your 12-team league, you have that 12th pick, or you have towards the beginning of a second round pick. Getting a guy that plays like a top of the pick guy is very crucial. And I think you got to get the guy that everyone else is just kind of passing over and letting fall just a little bit. So that's the number one thing I look for in a sleeper. Another thing I look for is great players that have a down year, and especially if there's a good explanation for the down year, that could mean that the player's fixed whatever it is and they're going to be back in full force. That could be an injury that's kind of a fluke injury. It could be just something like the player changed teams. Some just who knows what happened to make a player that's typically really good just kind of go down. And what you're going to run into is other fantasy owners are kind of jaded towards that pick because that guy let the other fantasy players down last year, and they might automatically just remember that, be bitter, pass him over, let him fall a long ways, and you could get a value pick on a rebound season. So that's another thing to look for. Now this one is pitcher specific, and that is a young pitcher with great stuff that's had a good little sample size. Go back to, say, like a Tim Lincecum or Matt Cain. That's a couple Giants examples, but there's lots of people out there that had this little sample size of a season. Blake Snell's another one before last year, to where they looked good. Scouts were high on them. They're going to have a full-on spot in the rotation next year, and they're ready to just break out. And I think, well, everyone else is clamoring for that pitcher that maybe had a ton of innings pitched and a ton of strikeouts the year before, could kind of have a tired arm coming into this year. This is a fresh pitcher that could have their big breakout and really take you to having your ace, even though you didn't pick him that high. So young pitchers with great stuff that has had a little bit of a good sample size. And here is a fourth thing I look for, and that is who is the hype making everyone else miss. So don't get caught up in hype. The player you're hearing about every day, the player everybody wants, the one that's everybody's going like this is the new big thing. They're going to be fighting over him. They're going to be taken too high, and there's going to leave somebody behind that could be very similar or just a little bit less of a player. Maybe 2 players with similar ceilings, and one of them has got all the hype, and here's the one over here they're missing. I've got a few names here, and of course I'm going to, like I said, this isn't a names video, but there's you've all seen who big hype is. For example, like young players, Ronald Acuna is going in the first round a lot, and that's kind of like a number 1 young, sky's the limit, super high ceiling type player, but there's some risk of sophomore slump. There's some risk of pitchers figuring him out, things like that happening. And you're picking him like he's already reached his peak almost if you're taking him in the first round. And there might be other similar players, look for our fantasy sleepers video to see, that have a similar unlimited ceiling, but Ronald Acuna just taking that hype. So more to come on that, of course. And Another one is, this is not taking fool's gold type players and using up your picks. You've got to have picks for the sleepers. So look at the type of guys that may have dragged you down last year or in years previous, and guys that bogged down your roster that may have been taking a high pick or a pick anywhere in the draft that didn't perform. Look at how you evaluated that and why you took them, and how maybe instead you could take more of a sleeper, possible breakout type guy in that pick, in that spot instead. And one big thing towards like a full, like determining if this guy's like a fool's gold type player, and of course I'm just making that term up right now, I've never heard it before, is an outlier career year. A guy that's like performing at this level spikes, and there's so much past indication that guys like that will just go right back to where they were before. Go look at Marcell Ozuna. Last year, he had a typical year for him. The year before, huge career year, and then the year before that, year very similar to last year. So he had this playing like this career year, back to where he was, and it happens quite a bit. So I think avoiding wasting picks on those types of players and saving them for breakouts, guys that are going to be on the rise, will help you have spots for sleepers. And that's something I always try to remember. You save draft picks, spots in your rosters for sleepers. Don't block them. That way you'll miss out. So anyway, that's just some real quick tips on how I research for sleepers and where I find value when I'm looking at the rankings and I'm picking guys out for you guys to see. So stay tuned. Sleepers video to come. I'm still making my list of guys. And exciting news, the Dumb Guys have a Patreon now. So we'll put the link in the description below. And if you guys are interested in supporting us, if you're interested in playing in a fantasy league with us, look at becoming a patron. That could also just enable us to really grow. Like, we'd really appreciate that, and that kind of support just helps us out. So thank you for watching. Comment, tell us methods you use for finding sleepers, and stick with us and stay dumb.